Back in St. Louis, Kenny Albert with Tim Green. Falcons 0-2. They lost to the Cowboys on Monday night. Rams beat the Ravens week 1. They had a bye last week. Today's game available in Spanish by utilizing your SAP button on your television. Dan Reeves, the winningest active head coach in the NFL. And on the other side, Dick Vermeil in his third season as head coach here in St. Louis. Rams finished 4-12 last season. And the Rams have won the toss. Tony Horn, who returned to kick off 102 yards for a touchdown against the Falcons last year, awaiting Morton Anderson's kickoff. And we are underway from St. Louis. Tony Horn from the 1. Horn tripped up as he hits the 20-yard line by rookie John Dale Carty. So Kurt Warner, in his second NFL season out of Northern Iowa, the Arena League, and NFL Europe, will go to work. 3 touchdown passes, 309 passing yards in the victory over Baltimore. Pace, Newton, Grudadoria, the ex-Packer Timmerman, and Fred Miller up front for the Rams. Marshall Falk with Robert Holcomb. Wide receivers, Isaac Bruce, and the rookie, first-round draft pick, Torrey Holt. And the tight end out of Syracuse is Roland Williams. First and 10 for the Rams from their own 20. Sellout crowd here at the Transworld Dome. Falcons won both meetings against St. Louis last year. Warner throwing on first down and makes the connection with the rookie out of North Carolina State, Torrey Holt, forced out of bounds by the right quarterback, Ronnie Bradford, after a gain of 9. Defensively, for the Falcons, a strong front four with Chuck Smith, Shane Grenett, Travis Hall, and Lester Archambault. Tuggle, the 5-time Pro Bowler in the middle with the second-year man Brooking and Andre Crockett. In the secondary for the Falcons, Bradford replacing the injured Michael Booker, Buchanan on the other corner, and the safeties Eugene Robinson and the former Buccaneer and Chicago Bear, Marty Carter. Torrey Holt just short, so it will be 2nd and inches for the Rams.
Nice start for the St. Louis Rams, but the Falcons front four did put immediate pressure on Kurt Warner. Warner got smacked just as he got rid of that ball. But the Rams rookie, Torrey Holt, took advantage of the cushion that Ronnie Bradford gave him at the cornerback position. Now, the other cornerback for the Falcons, Ray Buchanan, will be following this man here, Isaac Bruce. Oh, that's Torrey Holt. Will be following Isaac Bruce around the field the entire day. It's his job to play Bruce man-to-man most of the day.
And there is Buchanan matched up with Bruce. 2nd and 1, the inside handoff to the fullback, Robert Holcomb. And he works his way up to the 38-yard line, a gain of 9. Robinson and Carter made the tackle.
What Robert Holcomb gives the Rams, this guy is a tailback who's now playing fullback, so he gives them versatility. So the play begins this way, and Holcomb has the skills to make the cut back there. Adam Timmerman with a nice block on the linebacker, Keith Brooking.
Holcomb playing fullback for the first time since high school. Picked up the first down from the 38. Falk, and he is hit for a loss. Keith Brooking, the first Falcon in.
Keith Brooking is only in his 2nd year. He was a first-round draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons last season. But on that play there, he showed a unique ability for a linebacker to come up, play off of an offensive tackle who's a much bigger man, play around him, and still make the play. The Falcons linebackers are just one part of this front 7 for the Falcons defense. Very strong.
Falcons defense ranked 7th in the NFL after 2 weeks, despite their 2 losses. A loss of 2 on the previous play. 2nd down at 12 with the play clock winding down. Warner to the outside. Isaac Bruce. And he is pulled out about a yard and a half shy of the first down by Brooking, a gain of 11.
Well, when your best receiver is locked up with a man-to-man coverage by the Falcons' best defensive back, what do you do to get him open? You run him in motion. You make Buchanan chase him to the other side of the field, and you spring Isaac Bruce free by a game plan. Nice game planning by the Rams offensive staff. Mike Martz, the new coordinator.
3rd down and 1 from the 46 with Holcomb leading the way. This is Falk. And he picks up another Rams first down, run down by Eugene Robinson after a gain of 2.
Well, we know now how the Rams are going to run in short yardage situations all day long. Because they ran the exact same play that they ran before with Holcomb, only this time with Falk. They started it to the left side of the offense, and they made the cutback. Eugene Robinson was there for the tackle, but not before Vermeil's guys picked up the first down. There's Mike Martz, who I think has done an outstanding job of using the weapons that he has. And he has quite a few. We talked about it just moments ago. He's got Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, outstanding rookie receiver, and Marshall Falk out of the backfield, and another guy you'll see today, Azazir Hakeem.
Warner looking for Falk, who makes the catch at midfield, wrapped up by Marty Carter after a gain of 3.
You know, I think pressure, more than anything, is critical for the Falcons' defense today. They want to get pressure on Kurt Warner because the Rams receivers really are outstanding. I mean, they're so good that they are going to get open downfield. So the race for the Falcons is get to the quarterback quickly before those receivers get open.
And Warner has hit on his first 3 pass attempts. 2nd and 7 from midfield. 4 wide receivers, an empty backfield. Falk split out as well. Quick drop by Warner. And this is Falk again to the 44. Marty Carter made the tackle. A gain of 5 more yards.
That's a nice play by Marty Carter. Nice play by Marty Carter because he knows he has to tackle Marshall Falk in the open field. Falk has excellent moves. He has excellent balance. Carter's a nice addition to this Falcons defense. Now, here's the time. Warner doesn't need much. You see it there. He's got a lot of targets out there. He does a nice job scanning the field. He goes to his underneath target, Falk, who's wide open.
Isaac Bruce in motion. Bruce takes the handoff. Picks up the first down and more. Down the sidelines to the 33. Forced out by Keith Brooking. A gain of 11.
Not only is this Rams offense potent, they do a lot of things. Watch Isaac Bruce coming here on the handoff, the sweep, and watch Adam Timmerman. Look at the crushing block he delivers on Ronnie Bradford. Wow! There you go. Nice play selection. Lester Archambault just misses Bruce in the backfield. Bruce with too much speed. The nice block downfield. First down for the Rams.
Unlike recent years when the Rams defense was their strength, they have so many offensive weapons, and they're using them. This is Holcomb, and he's dragged down by the combination of Eugene Robinson and Jesse Tuggle.
And that penetration there, that's the strength of the Falcons defense. You saw Shane Dronat right up there in the backfield disrupting the play before it could develop. That's the biggest challenge for the Rams offense today, is to get those interior guys blocking these interior guys, and it's not an easy thing to do. There's Dronat, Travis Hall out there playing with a hip pointer and a broken thumb. He's not out there right now. He's replaced by Ed Jasper.
10th play of the opening drive for the Rams. 2nd and 10. Warner 4 for 4. Pump fakes. Now fires. End zone. And the catch is bobbled and dropped. Ricky Kroll behind 2 Falcon defenders, unable to hold on.
Nice job by the Rams offensive line, giving Kurt Warner enough time to throw this pass deep. Watch it here. They're working. They've got 5 on 4. They do a nice job. Look, Warner has time to pump fake, and then he underthrows this ball just a touch. The Falcons get away with one here because Ronnie Bradford misjudges this, just barely tips it, and it's right in Ricky Proehl's hands.
Setting up 3rd and 10, 4 wide receivers. Warner from the shotgun, steps up, fires, and the catch is made by Isaac Bruce, who extends for another Rams first down.
That's just mano a mano. Man on man, Isaac Bruce beats Ray Buchanan. It's not an easy job out there. Look at this. There it is. Man-to-man coverage. Bruce even slips. Buchanan gets his hands on him, but here's what Isaac Bruce does so well. He separates. Kurt Warner is absolutely outstanding right now. He has been so accurate and so good at making his decisions.
Falk on first down, finds a hole, and works his way down to the 13-yard line. A gain of 8.
Well, the Rams are just going to continue to run this cutback play until the Falcons defense stops it. Now, this is just discipline. You've got to stay home. Each man has his responsibility, and someone on the Falcons D gives up their cutback responsibility on that play.
2nd and 2. High formation. Marshall Falk. Inside the 12. Chuck Smith made the tackle. And this drive has used up nearly 8 minutes of this first quarter against the Falcons team that led the NFL last year in time of possession.
Dick Vermeil is really, well, Mike Martz is the guy calling the plays. Vermeil brought him in, though. It was an excellent decision. You have to appreciate the balance of this Rams offense. We've seen a lot of things, a lot of throws, distributing the passing game around, and nice cutback running.
Holcomb, good second effort, and the Rams are now 4 for 4 on 3rd down.
And why? It's the same play. The impressive thing about that was Holcomb is hit in the backfield by Falcons linebacker Andre Crockett. Watch Crockett here. He comes right in, and he puts a hit on Robert Holcomb. Watch Holcomb. Look at this. He gets the hit right there, but Holcomb is too strong, too powerful. He leaps forward and picks up this first down. You have to admire a guy who saw that Marshall Falk's coming into the game, into the system. He's going to be the starter, so Holcomb resculpted himself as a fullback.
First and goal from the 9. Warner. Roland Williams. No signal as of yet from the officials. And he was down on the 1.
Yeah, it looked like a touchdown, but the official was right there. We're going to take a look at it. You talk about a multiplicity of weapons. Here's Roland Williams right here. So you get the receivers covered up, and there's the tight end. Now the ball is down when his knee is down. I think St. Louis wants to take a look at the replays themselves.
Yes, Dick Vermeil has called timeout. And we'll return to the Trans World Dome in St. Louis in just a moment.
Oh Sunday is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Following the timeout, 2nd and goal from the half-yard line. This will be the 16th play of the drive for the Rams. The pitch back to Marshall Falk. And he is stopped by the combination of Jesse Tuggle and Marty Carter.
Yeah, the hammer, and Andre Crockett was there too, and that's the Falcons linebackers. That's their strength. They can run, and they can hit. They run to the point, and they don't stop just running to the point. They deliver the blow to knock the running back back. Look at this here. Nice job. Look at that. Henry, Jesse Tuggle, slam right at the goal line. I'll tell you what, the Rams have done an outstanding job on this drive, mixing up the runs and the passes, and Kurt Warner has been outstanding. He is 6 of 7 right now.
Third and goal. Holcomb. Touchdown, St. Louis.
This is execution. It's nothing but execution. Look at the hole that opens up for Robert Holcomb. Look at the blocking by Tom Newton leading up front. Outstanding play.
Jeff Wilkins adds the extra point, and the Rams have taken the lead. A 17-play drive, taking over 10 minutes of this first quarter. 17-play, 80-yard drive. Rams ate up over 10 minutes off the clock. Winslow Oliver, the newest Falcon on the left, former Carolina Panther back deep, along with Elijah Williams. Tim White, the star returner, is out with a hamstring injury, and this is Oliver. Winslow Oliver still on his feet, finally taken down by Tony Horn after a 29-yard return. So the Falcons and Chris Chandler to the offense for the first time when we return.
Let's launch it, Slim. We talked about this all week. We got to stick with the game plan. We got to run the ball. James says the max protect. Outright.
First quarter. A 10-minute, 13-play drive, culminating in the 1-yard touchdown run by Robert Holcomb. Now the Falcons go to work. Chris Chandler is the quarterback. He missed Monday's loss in Dallas with a hamstring injury. Terrence Mathis in motion. Chris Callaway, the other wide receiver. And a handoff to Byron Hanspard, Jamal Anderson's replacement. And Hanspard is hit by Billy Jenkins after a gain of 2. So it will be 2nd and 8 for the Falcons. Chris Chandler, a former Ram, a former Los Angeles Ram back in the 1994 season. Chandler. And the men protecting Chris: Whitfield, Allen, Tobin, Williams, and Salam. Hanspard with the fullback Bob Christian, Callaway, and Mathis, the receivers. And the tight end is O.J. Santiago. 2nd and 8 from the 36. As Chandler audibles. 2 tight ends set. Quick drop. And the pass to the outside is gathered in by the tight end Brian Kozlowski for a gain of 1, forced out by Billy Jenkins. Rams ranked 4th defensively in the NFL. Wistrom with DeMarco Farr, Ray Agnew, and Kevin Carter, who had 12 sacks last year. Fletcher in the middle with Collins and Mike Jones. McLeod and Todd Light are the quarterbacks. Keith Lyle, Billy Jenkins, the Rams safeties. 3rd down and 7. Clock winding down. Chandler back to throw on 3rd and 7. And it's broken up by the right linebacker, Todd Collins.
Code word for this Rams defense is pressure. Pressure on the quarterback to try to knock the injured Chandler out of the game. Pressure on the receivers to disrupt their passing routes.
So after a 17-play Rams drive, the Falcons go 3 and out. Oz Hakeem, who returned 2 punts for touchdowns in the preseason, awaiting Dan Straczynski's kick. And it's a good one. Hakeem from the 16. Nowhere to go. Out of bounds at the 23. 7-yard return by Hakeem after a 47-yard punt by Straczynski.
Direct by Budweiser, made with the freshest all-natural ingredients for brewery fresh taste. And by Visa, the preferred card of the NFL. Visa, it's everywhere NFL fans want to be.
St. Louis, just a couple of blocks from the arch. We are inside the Trans World Dome where the hometown Rams lead by 7. Kurt Warner, 6 of 7. In the air on the Rams' opening drive. Now they start from the 22. Bruce in motion. Warner. Pass was deflected. Deflected again by Bruce. Who knocked it away from 3 Falcon defenders. And right now for an NFL game break. Let's head back to the Fox Network Center. JB.
Kenny and Tim, Rick Mara in the groove. Play action here. What does he do? Hooks up with Dedrick Ward. First touchdown toss in 3 years by Myra. It's the Jets on top of the Skins in the first. Back to Kenny and Tim.
JB, thanks. Tell Terry Bradshaw he was right on with Mike Martz as the coordinator for this Rams group. An outstanding job so far of Martz. Different play calling, 4 different receivers on the last drive, lots of runs, lots of passes.
Rams mixed it up during their 80-yard drive. Warner over the top, and the catch is made for a first down by Oz Hakeem. A gain of 12, and Warner has now hit 5 different receivers today.
And holy moly, you think this guy's got an arm or what? Watch him zip this ball in there. This is perfectly thrown to Azazir Hakeem. Look at that, zip. Nice catch by Hakeem, but a perfect throw by Kurt Warner.
Warner averaged 61 touchdowns per season during his 3 years in the Arena League. He led NFL Europe in yards and touchdown passes, playing for the Amsterdam Admirals in '98.
There's Bruce in motion.
Warner off the fingertips of Torrey Holt.
And there was the immediate pressure that the Falcons defense needed to get on Kurt Warner. They sent Keith Brooking on the blitz, and Brooking forced that throw too soon. The other thing that Terry Bradshaw talked about in the pregame show, Kenny, which he was absolutely right about, was how Mike Martz helped to bring Isaac Bruce around and get him healthy again. But really, more important than Mike Martz was Al Saunders, the receivers coach, who has a strict regimen for this guy right here that limits the amount of plays he can take in practice from the beginning of training camp all the way through the season.
He played only 5 games last year. Another big hole for Marshall Falk. Travis Hall brought him down, a gain of 9.
Tell you what, this cutback is not just running, it's blocking. Orlando Pace, watch Pace right here, and his work on Chuck Smith. Watch this block. Wham, gets into him, drives him. Look at that seal there. That is a beautiful seal. Nice block by Torrey Holt, the rookie wide receiver downfield as well. So the Rams, not just running well with that cutback that we've seen both Holcomb and Marshall Falk do, but blocking well up front.
And there is the left tackle, Orlando Pace. 3rd down and 1. Play fake to Falk. Warner hits Holcomb into Falcons territory. Forced out of bounds at the 30-yard line. A gain of 28.
I tell you what, I talked about Orlando Pace the play before. With every pass, it starts with protection. Watch Orlando Pace and what he's doing to Chuck. He just attacks Chuck Smith. Look at it. This is a pass play. Look at that. Wham! Look at that. Now watch him go after him again. Wham! Orlando Pace setting the tone for this Rams offensive line. Beautiful protection for Kurt Warner. And then Warner again, outstanding. He is looking and seeing receivers all over the field. He's seeing tight ends. He's seeing running backs. He's seeing the wide receivers. The Falcons are going to have to come up with a big play to stop this Rams momentum.
And a timeout called by the Rams. There is offensive line coach Jim Hannafin, former head coach with the Falcons back in 1989. Yeah, Valley on Monday, and then the short version on Tuesday. Warner takes the handoff to Falk, and wide open is the tight end, Jeff Robinson, a converted defensive end. And he was cut down by Eugene Robinson after a gain of 2.
Kenny, there was a nice play by Robinson. We talked about the Rams' mixture of plays and the different things that they've done. Look at this ball control. 12 and a half minutes to Atlanta's 148, 22 plays. And they've done it with a great mixture of runs and passes.
Time for perhaps one more play here in the first quarter. 2nd and 7. Hakeem in motion. Warner tripped up. And he threw it away after he was down. And that will do it for the first quarter from the Trans World Dome in St. Louis. With the Rams leading the Falcons 7-0. Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages and a word from your local station. Leading 7-0, 1 quarter in the books as we welcome you back to St. Louis. Kenny Albert with Tim Green. Rams quarterback Kurt Warner picking up where he left off against the Ravens 2 weeks ago. A big first quarter, 9 of 13.
Warner's doing two things. He's making great decisions, and he's throwing the ball incredibly well. When I say great decisions, he has completed passes to 7 different receivers. So Mike Martz, the offensive coordinator for the Rams, really giving the young player a lot of options in today's game.
And Warner was called for intentional grounding on the last play of the first quarter. So this will force the Rams back 10 yards. He was not yet ruled down when he threw the ball away. So it will be a 3rd and 18 from the Falcons' 38.
And a substantial 10 yards, especially when you consider the field goal range.
Yes. And the Rams today 6 of 6 on 3rd down. Warner, good protection, fires downfield, Holt in the end zone, touchdown!
I said at the beginning of the game, this young rookie wide receiver was explosive. Well, here he goes, folks. It's pure speed. He races straight downfield, and as you said, Kenny, Kurt Warner has plenty of time to deliver a beautiful pass.
So on 3rd and 18, Warner to Torrey Holt, 38 yards. Holt's 2nd touchdown catch of the season.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Ford Outfitters, No Boundaries, by Taco Bell, by IBM, Are you ready for e-business? And by Original Coors, expect more from Original Coors.
A huge start today for the St. Louis Rams, scoring drives of 80 and 78 yards. Torrey Holt pulling in his 2nd touchdown in 2 NFL games, and the Rams lead 14-0 as Wilkins' kickoff is handled by Winslow Oliver from the 5-yard line. Oliver out across the 25, and he is taken down at the 28-yard line by Justin Watson. As we take another look at the Rams TD.
Kenny, I want you to watch Ray Buchanan. Now, his focus is on Isaac Bruce. And what happens is he's so busy concentrating on Isaac Bruce and the other receivers here, he does not respect Torrey Holt's speed. See Holt right there? Now, Buchanan, I don't think knew how fast Torrey Holt was. He does now.
So do we.
Everyone does. Blazing.
From the 31, the play fake, the pump fake from Chandler, fires downfield, kicked off by Todd Light. Light into Falcons territory to the 47.
A poorly thrown ball by Falcons quarterback Chris Chandler. Just a poor decision, Kenny, because Todd Light not only has coverage on Terrence Mathis, Keith Lyle, the free safety, has coverage. Look at this. Both men in position to make this play. Mathis does nothing to separate himself from Todd Light. The ball slightly underthrown, and Light just makes an outstanding athletic play. There's Chandler, and you can see a little bit of a hitch in his gait there. You have to remember he's got that pulled hamstring.
Off the plate fake, Warner firing downfield. The flag on the play. Isaac Bruce, touchdown!
Wow. Look out. Can you say offensive firepower?
Touchdown.
46 yards, Warner to Bruce. Warner's second touchdown pass in this quarter. 21-0, St. Louis. Two touchdown passes, 29 seconds apart by Warner.
Warner must think he's back in the Arena League.
With the Iowa Barnstorm.
Well, I mean, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Falk, they're making it look easy. They're getting themselves wide open, but you have to give credit to Warner, too. His passes have been beautiful.
Wilkins kickoff bounces to Oliver at the 9, and Winslow is taken down at the 25-yard line from behind by Rich Cody after a 16-yard return.
Kenny, it's great to have great players, but you have to do the right things with them. Isaac Bruce in motion does not enable Ray Buchanan, here's Buchanan, to get a jam on him. So watch it. So there's the penalty there where Buchanan tries to get his hand, and there's Bruce's pure speed, and there's Kurt Warner's nice deep ball. Rich Brooks, the defensive coordinator for the Falcons, said yesterday he didn't know if Kurt Warner has a deep ball.
I think he found out. This will be the Falcons' fifth offensive play of the game, and they trail 21-0. Myron Hanspon cutting to the outside up to the 33. A gain of 8 brought down by London Fletcher.
Well, with Chris Chandler in the game, I would not expect the Falcons to totally fold. A lot of teams 21-0 down, they would fold. But Chandler in the game does give them some hope. And I mentioned it in the beginning, Byron Hanspard, more than an adequate replacement for Jamal Anderson. Now, would you rather have Jamal Anderson? Of course you would. But if you couldn't have him, Byron Hanspard is a pretty doggone good replacement. He's got speed, he likes to run in the center of the field, and he can also break one outside.
Double tight end set, 2nd and 1. And Hanspard is met in the backfield by DeMarco Farr.
Now, see, the problem the Falcons are going to have is the Rams defense has the luxury of a 21-point lead. And when you've got that luxury, hey, you can just race. You can race upfield, and no one touches DeMarco Farr. Now, Kenny, the Falcons have had a tough start, 0-2 so far, and also very uncharacteristic. Penalties, turnovers, missed field goals, things they did not do last year that they have done this year, and it's caused them to lose.
3 wide receivers. Ronnie Harris in motion, 3rd and 5. Chandler over the middle. Terrence Mathis has the first down. The first down of the game for the Falcons offense.
This is what the Falcons need to do. Exactly this. Be calm, be cool, don't go for it all with one play, but get a drive going. Run Byron Hanspard. Drop back. Throw it to Terrence Mathis. Move the ball around. Mix it around. And really, they need to do offensively what the Rams have done.
First and 10 from the 40. Chandler took a hit, and the pass is caught by O.J. Santiago, the tight end, but Chandler was driven to the turf by Kevin Carter.
Carter works right over the top of Ephraim Salaam. And I said the Falcons' offensive line has a tough duty. They have got to protect this quarterback today. Excuse me, it was not Ephraim Salaam. He works over guard Greg Bishop. right through, and Chandler is in no physical condition to take too many of those hits.
As I mentioned on the pregame show during our Fox Watch segment, Chandler told us yesterday if he injured the hamstring anymore, he did not think he would even be able to hand off the football.
And he also told us if this team was 8-2, he probably wouldn't have tried to play in today's game.
2nd and 3. Hands far. First down into Rams territory. A gain of 12. Keith Lyle made the stop.
Well, Chandler certainly handed off of that play. You can see Kenny, he's still limping. He's still got a little bit of a limp. And you see how important Chandler is to this Falcons team. When he's healthy, he starts and finishes a game 17-4. When he starts and doesn't finish 3-5, and when he doesn't start at all, 1-4. So that tells you how important Chris Chandler is, not only to the offense, but to the mentality of this entire team. To let them believe that, hey, we can still be in a game even though we're down 21 points.
From the Rams 40, Chandler back to throw on first down. Kevin Carter grabs hold again.
Well, we saw Pam Oliver's great piece on the pregame show about Steve Young and the pounding that he took in last week's game against the Saints. Chris Chandler is going to take the same pounding here. This time, Carter PT from Salam. And Chandler is going to take a beating today, and I don't know if he can hold up unless this Falcons offensive line comes together and shores up. That was not a blitz. That was a four-man rush. Carter beating Ephraim Salam one-on-one.
2nd and 10 from the 40. Hands far. Down to the 37. A gain of 3.
You see the pressure that the Rams defense is allowed to exert on the Falcons offense? Again, they've got this 21-point lead. Peter Junt is upstairs. He's calling the plays, and he's downstairs calling the plays, and it's allowing him to really have a free rein. It's allowing him to put a lot of pressure on the front. To blitz guys, tell his defensive linemen up front, hey, hit the gaps, linebackers, come on the rush, let's go get Chandler.
3rd and 7 for the Falcons. 3 wideouts. Play clock winding down.
Here comes the blitz.
Hand snap. Chandler recovers and is taken down.
That's the pressure, Kenny, that I was talking about. Chandler fumbles the snap here. Look how fast DeMarco Farr is right up on top of him. There's Clemens. The linebackers came. Safety came.
Hakeem awaiting Dan Straczynski's second punt. Straczynski from midfield. Good hang time. And it bounces into the end zone. 40-yard punt by Straczynski. Penalty markers. An altercation out near midfield. With the Rams leading 21-0. DeMarco Farr going at it with Keith Brooking. And the personal foul is called on both, offsetting Farr and Brooking.
Well, the Falcons need a big play now. We see Chris Chandler talking to Ron Medlin, the Falcons head trainer, on the sideline. You know there is definitely some concern with his hamstring. But they need him in there, Kenny, and they need a big play. They need a big play from their defense or from their special teams. They need something, turnover, something they've not had this season, a lot of. They've given the ball up a lot. So we talked about this team, this Falcons team, being very uncharacteristic of Dan Reeves' team last year that took them to the Super Bowl, that won the NFC Championship, 14-2 record. But if you look at the penalties and the turnovers, it's just not what it was last season.
A very very frustrating start to 1999 for the Falcons. They lost to the Vikings 17-14 week 1 in a rematch of the NFC Championship game. They lost Chandler towards the end of that game. They went into Dallas on Monday night and were beaten by the Cowboys 24-7. They lost Jamal Anderson for the season, and now they trail the St. Louis Rams 21-0. Ron Blum, our referee today, sorting things out.
Well, the inability of the Falcons offense to light it up has been something that's happened over the first 2 weeks.
Unnecessary roughness, 58 of the kicking team. During the play, the penalty is declined. The result of the play is a touchback. Timeout.
Actually 56, Keith Brooking, not 58. And we'll return in a moment. The second half of
a passing league, and in that Vikings-Packers game, you're going to see two of the best in the business at catching those passes. Chris Carter for the Vikings, Antonio Freeman for the Green Bay Packers. Rich Brooks told us yesterday that he thought this group of wide receivers here that the Rams have are better than any in the league, including the Vikings.
Russell Falk, first down and more. Down the sidelines, Falk is forced out of bounds by his former close teammate Ray Buchanan at the Falcons 22, a 58-yard run.
Dick Vermeil told us yesterday he had yet to see the Marshall Falk that he had seen in Indianapolis. Now he's seen it. It's just a simple toss play. Look at Orlando Pace. Just totally subduing Chuck Smith, opening up a huge hole, and then Falk just turns on the speed.
The Rams' last three plays offensively, 38-yard touchdown pass, a 46-yard touchdown pass, a 58-yard run. 3 consecutive plays. And penalty flags as the play clock wound all the way down to 0. Delay of game call on the Rams.
Delay of game, offense, 5 yards, repeat first down.
Kurt Warner has really looked impressive, though, as a young quarterback. I mean, think about the lack of experience that he has had. This is his second NFL game, and he has had very few mishaps. He's thrown the ball well. He's made good decisions. And again, you go back to offensive coordinator Mike Martz, who spent a tremendous amount of time with Kurt Warner in the event that Trent Green should get hurt.
Robert Holcomb gains 4 yards to the 23. And for a Fox NFL game break, JB, take it away.
Kenny and Tim with no Barry Sanders in Detroit. It's running back by a committee of 3. This time Cedric Urban. Nice block that time by Johnny Morton. 16 yards to pay dirt. All even at Arrowhead. 7-all. Back to Kenny Albert and Tim Green. And Timmy, Terry says thank you.
Well, I know he's watching film. I know you are too, JB, because you just saw that block that sprung the guy free. Lions, Chiefs, look at Charlie Batch. 5 TDs, tied for first in the National Football League.
Penalty markers on second down.
98 contact.
98 is Travis Hall.
Coach, 98 defense, 5 yards, repeat second down.
Started to talk about Travis Hall earlier, Kenny. He's out there with a thumb with that. He's got a torn tendon. He's going to have surgery on it Monday. And he's out there with a hit pointer. There's nothing you can do for that except take a shot and play the best you can. He is a big, powerful man.
Rewarded with a huge contract recently. Did a tremendous job last year for the Falcons. 2nd and 6. Falk. Brought down by Shane Burnett after a 2-yard gain.
Well, Kenny, last year Travis Hall kind of sprung onto the scene with a shocking head of brilliant yellow hair. And then he came into the meeting yesterday, and this is what we saw. Black. He went from one extreme to the other, from as blonde as he could get to as black as he could get. He likes to whip that hairstyle around.
It was certainly shocking.
It was.
Warner, the Falk, penalty marker, zigged
He did
again.
it all.
And it's against the Falcons, says Kurt Warner. And the Rams now lead 27-0.
Defense. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
Kenny, these are the weapons that we talked about in the open of this game. We said Warner's got them all. He's got Isaac Bruce, he's got Torrey Holt, and he's got Marshall Faulk. All of them in the passing game. Here's Faulk here. You cannot defend all of these guys. And here's why Faulk's so dangerous. Catches the ball, yes. Makes one guy miss. Two guys miss. Three guys miss. Great balance, great speed.
So Kurt Warner with 3 touchdown throws this quarter. And the Rams now lead the Falcons 28-0. Kurt Warner, 3 touchdown passes week 1 against Baltimore. 3 so far today, and we still have 6.5 minutes remaining in the first half.
Well, everyone said, hey, Kurt Warner looked great in the opening week. He made good decisions. He threw the ball for over 300 yards, but can he do it again? Is he the real thing? Wow. Well, what a great luxury for a young quarterback to have these kinds of weapons at your disposal. Guys who can get open downfield, and an offensive line that's done an outstanding job, Kenny, of protecting it today.
Winslow Oliver brings it out from the 4-yard line. Across the 25, spinning to the 27. 23-yard return, Justin Watson, rookie out of San Diego State, made the tackle.
Kenny, how high-powered is this offense? In the last 4 possessions, they've had 4 touchdowns. 80 yards, 60 yards, 78 yards, 80 yards. Kurt Warner threw 3 touchdown passes in a row.
Yes.
His last 3 passes have all been touchdown passes. 1 to Isaac Bruce, 1 to Torrey Holt, and 1 to Marshall Faulk. And I'll tell you what, each of those receivers did a great job of getting wide open.
Now Chandler and the Falcons from their own 27, trailing 28-0. Here comes the ball, goes far. And Chandler's pass was nearly picked off.
And this is where DeMarco Farr's speed is so evident. Because what happens here is the Falcons' offensive line, they let the defenders through on the screen pass. But Farr is so much faster than the others that he gets to the quarterback right away. You see, the other defenders are through, but by the time they get about 3 yards upfield, DeMarco Farr is already on top of Chris Chandler.
Now the pass was broken up, nearly intercepted by a rookie free agent out of Texas Christian, Galen Hyder. 2nd and 10. Chandler back to throw on 2nd down. He swings it out to the fullback Rob Christian. And he is met at the 29 by Mike Jones first, and then London Fletcher.
See, it's really, I mean, this is fun for the Rams defense. It's fun because they really don't have to worry. They can play their coverage a little soft and then just come up and whap, make the tackle. So Collins gets there, and Fletcher comes, and he puts the icing on. I mean, that's when it's fun as a defender, when you have a huge lead like this early in the game.
3rd and 6 from the 30. 3 wide receivers. Chandler to the outside. Christian. Todd Light was the first Ram over, and then Dexter McLeod, which will be about a half-yard shy of the first down marker.
Todd Light is really showing me something today. He's not only shown us outstanding coverage and the interception that he had and his great athleticism, he's showing toughness. And for every team to become a playoff team, to take that step to the next level, you need guys who can do it all. You need a Todd Light who can cover, who can also come up and make a hit on the run. Falcons are going to go for it here on 4th and 1.
And the Rams use their final timeout.
Yep.
They used the earlier 2, we presume, because Warner was having trouble with the coach-to-quarterback communication device in his helmet, so they were forced to use 2 timeouts earlier, and now the Rams caught off guard by the Falcons deciding to go for it on 4th and 1. And despite the problems with the helmet, it has not affected Kurt Warner.
No, and he's thrown beautifully. He's thrown underneath things, and he's thrown short zipping passes, and he's also thrown some very nice deep balls.
And as you mentioned, his last 3 passes have gone for touchdowns, all in his second quarter.
You know, Trent Green, who was the starting quarterback before he was hurt, he completed 28 out of 34 passes. And that's an incredible number
in the preseason.
But really, Kenny, when you think about the different weapons and how potent they are on offense, it makes it easier than a lot of other quarterbacks in the league to have that kind of completion percentage.
On 4th and 1, and Smart is stopped.
I think he got it on the second effort. Maybe not, though.
Depends where the officials spot the ball.
No.
Rams football.
So your estimation was a lot better than mine. Watch the penetration by the Rams. Look at that. Reestablish the line of scrimmage. Hansberg gets hit. He lunges for that. There's Todd Light again. Oh, that was clearly, he was clearly stopped short looking at it from this angle.
So the Falcons trailing by 4 touchdowns, go for it on 4th and 1. Are stopped by the Rams defense. And now the Rams offense takes over on the Atlanta 36. Warner with the plate fake, firing downfield. Incomplete. He was looking for the tight end out of Syracuse, your alma mater, Tim, Roland Williams.
Williams does a nice job of releasing down the middle of the field. Marty Carter's got the coverage. Carter comes right underneath and makes a good play, slapping Williams' arms down just as the ball touches his hands.
Williams, the Rams' offensive rookie of the year last season. Under 5 minutes to go, first half. 2nd and 10. The pitch back to Falk, who has over 100 yards combined rushing and receiving. And he was chased down by Henry Crockett for a loss of 4.
That was an important play, and as is this here, because, again, the Falcons have got to come up with something. They've got to come up with a big play somehow, some way, and they cannot let the Rams continue to score. So Henry Crockett, with that nice tackle on Falk in the backfield, took him out of field goal range. But now Rich Brooks is there's Rich Brooks there. His secondary has got to come up and make a play, or his front 4 have got to get to Kurt Warner.
Rich Brooks, the former head coach here in St. Louis. Falk, not nearly enough for the first down. Brooks, since taking over as defensive coordinator in Atlanta, is 4-0 against the Rams, who let him go following the 1996 season.
He knew he was going to have trouble today containing all those Rams weapons, and I think he felt that the best way to do it was to get to Warner quick, but so far Warner has been pretty much unscathed.
First punt of the day for Rick Tootin. The Rams score touchdowns on their first 4 possessions. Bounces into the end zone, 36-yard punt with 3.5 remaining in the second quarter. Coming up this week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the final Saturday of the regular season. Many of you will see the Cubs and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. Some of you, the playoff-bound Braves against the Marlins, plus other regional action.
And not quite the home run race it was last year, but still pretty substantial to see these 2 guys squaring off on the same field.
61 for Sosa, 59 for McGwire. First down for the Falcons from the 20. Chandler, pump fakes, and he is taken down. It's Kevin Carter again.
I tell you what, Kevin Carter is abusing the Falcons' offensive line. Abusing. Because the Falcons have given Ephraim Salaam help. They double-teamed Kevin Carter, and he blasted right through him. Watch this here. Look at Carter. Watch him work. Look, there's Salam. He's got help from the guard, Gene Williams. Carter blasts through both of them, and then his relentlessness there gets the sack. I mean, heck, that's where Ephraim Salam needs to turn and try to get another chip on the guy. Instead, the guy runs free and takes out their quarterback.
And there is Tony Graziani. He has the helmet on, warming up. He started the game Monday in Dallas, was pulled in favor of Danny Cannell, but Graziani is still the backup as Chandler remains down.
Kevin Carter is just relentless. He busts through there, and now he comes. Chandler makes a miss. Now here's where someone needs to try to get another pop. Gene Williams tries to get it, but Carter's too fast. And he gets right on top of Chandler. And, Kenny, I told you in the beginning of this game, the Rams defense, their number one priority was to get after Chris Chandler and knock him out of the game. Well, at 28-0, that doesn't become as high a priority, but they still did it.
So Graziani, who started one game last year, and that was against the Rams, Week 12, started Monday night's game against the Cowboys in his third season out of Oregon. He's a lefty and has hit on 8 of 17 passes so far this season. This will be his 9th NFL appearance, including 3 starts. Second and 14. Santiago in motion. Falcons from their own 15-yard line. The pitch back to Byron Hanspard. And he is out of bounds at the 23 after an 8-yard gain.
Well, this St. Louis Rams defense did a great job in Week 1 of pressuring the quarterback, defending passes, sacking the quarterback, interceptions. Look at this today. In the first half already, 8 quarterback pressures, 2 passes defended, 1 sack, 1 interception, and they have knocked the Falcons starting quarterback out of the game. And there's Peter Junta, the defensive coordinator, behind it all.
Three wide receivers, 3rd and 8. Graziani back to throw for the first time, and he has the completion. Terrence Mathis for a Falcons first down as we approach the 2-minute warning, a gain of 9, and the Falcons drive will continue. 2 minutes remaining, first half, 28-0 St. Louis. Back in St. Louis, coming up at halftime, the Visa Halftime Report. Join JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris. Scores and highlights from around the National Football League, plus the Fox Sports Ticker with up-to-the-second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa Halftime Report. Graziani on first down. Throws it out of bounds. The intended receiver, Ronnie Harris.
And that's been Tony Graziani's trouble at quarterback. He makes good decisions. He threw the ball at the right receiver, but he didn't get the ball to the target. He's come a long way. He's developed as far as knowing the offense, knowing the system, being able to see the field. Now he's got to work on his delivery.
Second and 10, just under 2 minutes remaining, first half. 3 wide receivers for the Falcons. Graziani's pass nearly picked off, and Byron Hanspard unable to make the catch. Charlie Clemens. Clemens, a Georgia native, out of the University of Georgia.
Well, that time the Rams defense opts for coverage instead of pressure. They send 4 men on the rush, and it gives them the linebackers and the people underneath in the coverage to disrupt the pass pattern. And there's Chris Chandler on the sideline, tightness in that pulled hamstring. A dismal sign for the Atlanta Falcons.
3rd and 10. Graziani over the top. Catch is made by Bob Chris Christian, but Kevin Carter was right there. And the Falcons fall 4 yards shy of the first down.
I think the thing that has made Kevin Carter come to life as much as anything is Grant Wistrom. Wistrom, first-round draft pick last year from Nebraska, came in, and in a lot of rookie defensive linemen's rookie year, it's difficult. He struggled a little bit, but he really worked hard. He really came around, and I think he has pushed Kevin Carter to another level, and Carter has been outstanding today.
Third punt of the game by Sprzinski. Oz Hakeem calls for a fair catch at his own 29-yard line, 35-yard punt by Sprzinski. Next week, the Fox NFL Sunday pregame show will come to you live from Dallas as the Cowboys host the Arizona Cardinals, plus other regional action. It all starts at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. So JB and the gang will head south down to Texas Stadium.
And then Terry will be able to get to tell Jake Plummer firsthand his bull analogy.
Yes. Terry also gets to stay home next week.
Right, he's got one of those big ranches out there with bulls and steers and
all that good stuff.
Yeah, horses.
Warner with the handoff. Marshall Falk up the middle to the 35-yard line. Again, it's 6 with under 1 minute to play in the first half. And the Falcons, in 3 games this season, have been outscored in the first half 55-7. A complete reversal from 1998. They've already lost as many games as they did during the regular season last year, 14-2. This year, 0-2. Trailing in game 3, 28-0. Falk up to the 45, a 10-yard gain as Marshall Falk has picked up 93 yards on the ground here in the first half. Standing ovation for the St. Louis Rams. Kurt Warner, 3 touchdown passes, and the Rams lead 28-0. The Visa halftime report is next after this, and a word from your local Fox station. Rams, Dick Vermeil.
Coach, 28-0. Have you ever been around a better half of football? Everything has gone your way.
I've been involved in some of these games in the years, not here, but we'll have more of them like this.
The obvious weapons are doing what you want them to do. The offensive line giving Warner all kinds of time.
Yeah, they really are. And Kurt, being given that time, was allowed to read out the entire pattern, therefore has been able to get the ball deep. But hey, it's a whole other half, and there's been some major comebacks so far this year. Can't happen here.
All right, Coach, thanks very much. Kenny, back upstairs to you.
Thanks, Pete. Kurt Warner, 12 of 17, 190 yards, and 3 touchdowns. We'll return to the Trans World Dome in St. Louis and lead the Falcons by the score of 28-0. As we welcome you back to the NFL on Fox, Kenny Albert with Tim Green. You and I have been doing games involving the Rams now for the last 6 years, but never have we seen a Rams team with this many offensive weapons.
Well, I think that they played last week in a way that let you think, well, maybe they've got something here. But what they've done this week has been really exceptional. You know, Howie Long talked about in the pregame show, this Falcons defense has been the bright spot of the Falcons team so far in their 0-2 start this season. So this is not a lay down and die defense. This is a hard fighting defense with a lot of talent. But the Rams have absolutely burned them up one side, down the other. They've run the ball, but most especially they have decimated the Falcons defense in the passing game. And Kurt Warner has been absolutely spectacular. I mean, he's a young guy, you said, has a lot of weapons, and he's had the time to find those weapons.
Warner and the Rams set the tone during the opening drive. They drove 80 yards on 17 plays.
Well, this is the first touchdown, and it's that cutback run. And then we see the second touchdown, a pass to Torrey Holt. Holt's speed got him open. On defense, Todd Light gets into the action with a beautiful interception, and here's another. Going deep Isaac Bruce the target this time, and then here's the other changeup. Marshall Falk, throw it to him underneath. He makes it happen. He gets himself wide open. So really, we've seen everything that the Rams could do. They've done it extraordinarily well, and it shows in the numbers. Look at this, 311 total yards and no turnovers. Time of possession, 18:41, and that will wear out a defense and demoralize the opposing team. So the Rams absolutely dominant in the first half. But as Dick Vermeil said to Pete Peterson right at the halftime there, hey, it's the NFL. Teams can come back. The Falcons are going to have to totally reinvent themselves in the locker room if they're going to come out here and take a bite out of these Rams.
And they will have to do it without injured quarterback Chris Chandler, who was knocked out towards the end of that first half. Kurt Warner has hit on pass plays to 7 different receivers.
The remarkable thing about Kurt Warner really is the way he's been able to transfer the experiences that he's had in arena football, in NFL Europe with the Amsterdam Admirals, and he's been able to transfer those experiences into the NFL experience. Because, look, it is a faster game here. It's a bigger game. It's a tougher game. But he's built on everything that he's had in the past, and it's really remarkable how quickly he has come on.
Warner is 28 years of age. He threw only 11 NFL passes before this year. The season finale last year against the 49ers, made his first NFL start 2 weeks ago against the Ravens, threw 3 touchdown passes, 3 more in the first half.
The other thing I really like about him, I think everyone will like about him when they get to know who this guy is that he loves football. I mean, he said, hey, if it doesn't work out in the NFL, I'll go back and play arena football for as long as I can. I'll play arena football until I'm 40 years old. Love the game of football. It helps me take care of my family. He's got a wife, 3 kids. He's a good family man, and he loves the game. So, but I don't think he's going to have to go back to arena, Kenny. I think he's here to stay.
Even in college, he did not start for the first 3 years.
No, and then he lit it up in his senior year. So, a guy who's proven if he gets a chance, he can make it happen.
Here's Winslow Oliver across the 25 to the 27. A 24-yard return by Oliver. So Tony Graziani leads the Falcons offense back out.
And this is an unenviable position for a young quarterback. Not just because the Rams defense has played so well, but because this 28-0 lead gives them the flexibility to do a lot of things. They can play man-to-man coverage. They can free guys up. They can stack the line of scrimmage with 8 or 9 men to stop the run, and they can bring the horses on the blitz.
First down from the 27. The play fake to Hanspard. And the 4th reception of the game for St. Louis area native Bob Christian. Good second effort. And Christian forced out after a gain of 17.
A nice beginning for the Falcons to the second half. If they are going to treat this, and that's what you do. When you go into the locker room down 28-0, you say, look, forget the first half. Let's reinvent ourselves. Let's start from scratch. And they're starting from scratch. Little play-action pass, short pass to Bobby Christian. He uses his skills, his strength, and determination to pick up a first down.
From the 43. Mathis in motion. Graziani with the handoff to Hanspard, who averaged 7 yards per carry, Tim, in the first half. And he picks up 7 more.
Well, Hanspard is not afraid, despite his size, to run straight up the middle. And you know what? I wouldn't either if I had Bobby Christian in front blocking for me. Watch the just crushing block Christian puts on the linebacker. Look at this. Wham! Drives him, seals him off, gives Hanspard plenty of room to run.
Christian replaced by tight end Brian Kozlowski at fullback. 2nd and 4. With Kozlowski leading the way. This is Hanspard into Rams territory. And first by the strong safety, Billy Jenkins, after a gain of 2.
And that's stacking the line. Billy Jenkins is the strong safety. What's he doing up there? Because Peter Junt is saying, hey, we got a 28-point cushion, folks. We can tell our defensive backs, hey, you play soft, play a cushion, don't give up the big play. You're not going to get help from your safety because we're going to stack the line of scrimmage, move him up there, and it paid off on that last play.
Three wide receivers for the Falcons, 3rd and 3. Graziani with the pass, and it's caught by O.J. Santiago. A nice catch. He was surrounded by blue and gold jerseys, and Santiago gains 10 for another Falcons first down.
One thing Graziani does have is arm strength. And you get to see it on this play. It's not a deep, long ball, but what he has to do is he has to zip that ball in there because there's tight coverage on Santiago. You see that? There's a guy underneath, a guy over the top, so the ball has to be delivered with great velocity.
Santiago, with his second catch, Graziani has hit on 3 in a row. The pitch back to Byron Hansmog. Cuts it back inside, down to the 37. A gain of 3. Tim, you made an interesting point yesterday in discussing the Falcons running back situation. Last year, prior to the 98 season, you did the Falcons preseason games on TV. It was a battle for the starting job between Hanspard and Jamal Anderson.
Well, that's right. And if you went by pure numbers alone, Hanspard actually had more yards per carry than Jamal Anderson did in the preseason. But of course, in that last preseason game, Hanspard's knee was blown out, and he was out for the entire season. And he has come back remarkably well for a guy who had a total knee.
2nd and 7. Graziani complete to Santiago once again. And he tries to pull over Charlie Clemens.
That was a nice play by Santiago to use that big body. You know, Kenny, when you talk about Hanspard again, I think remarkable because most times when a guy goes down with this kind of injury here it is, right there, and they lose their knee, what happens is it usually takes them a full year to recover and get back out on the field, and then a full year of playing just to get back to where they were. Hanspard is pretty doggone close right now to where he was when he left off. He's a year ahead of most NFL players.
And this year a role reversal with Jamal Anderson out, who had a tremendous season last year. As Hanspard is in for a loss by Mike Jones. Jamal Anderson last year over 1,800 yards. One of the main reasons the Falcons won the NFC Championship.
Well, and the big concern with Hanspard, again, coming off of that knee is, can he carry the ball as many times as Jamal could carry it? And they don't think that he can. They don't want to try to have him carry it that many times. They want to try to share the load with young Ken Oxendine and also a little bit with Bobby Christian.
Here's Christian on 2nd and 12. Works his way down to the 26. So it'll be 3rd and long for the Falcons.
Well, really, Kenny, the Falcons are in a 4-down situation. I mean, they might as well just play for 4 downs. They might as well not start kicking field goals. Just say, hey, let's work our way down methodically, mechanically, because they need a touchdown to get back into this game.
Rams led 7-0 after 1 quarter, 28-0 at the half. 3 wide receivers. Third down at 9. Graziani under pressure, and he makes the connection with Mathis inside the Rams 10. 18 yards on the pass play.
Beautiful throw by Tony Graziani. Excellent throw. And Terrence Mathis does a nice job here. He's got a crossing pattern here with Chris Callaway. Breaks to the outside. But look at this throw. Watch it. Right in there. And Mathis does what he always does. He goes to the football. But Graziani did pay the price. There's Ray Agnew and Charlie Clemens right in on top of it.
1st and goal from the 8. Hanspard up the middle. Down to the 6.5-yard line. Billy Jenkins made the tackle.
Yeah, nice play by Billy Jenkins because he had to go around Christian's block to make that. You know, Kenny, in the first half, the Falcons' offense was pitiful. 5 drives, 64 yards. This drive alone, 65 yards. So they are treating it like a new game. And in this new game, Tony Graziani and the rest of the Falcons' offense is looking pretty solid.
2nd and goal. The play fake to Hanspard. Graziani to the outside. Bob Christian. And he is forced out of bounds at the 1 by London Fletcher. A touchdown saving tackle by Fletcher.
Yeah, nice impact on the hit there by London Fletcher.
They compare this guy to a young Sam Mills out of Division III, John Carroll University.
Well, he's an undersized guy. He's short, but he packs a wallop, and he's got great speed, so it gives him range to travel from sideline to sideline and make plays.
3rd and goal. 4 red zone possessions for the Falcons. Only 1 touchdown. Handspot over the top. And a pass goes to Kozlowski for the touchdown. Beautiful fake to Handspot. And Graziani throws his first career touchdown pass.
Nice drive by Tony Graziani, showing poise, showing a nice arm strength, nice accuracy on this series. You know, I think Handspot could have made it into the end zone if the handoff had been made. But it's a great play fake. And then Graziani shows nice poise because, Kenny, you see your tight end wide open in the end zone. It can be so easy to try to zip that ball, force it, and come away with nothing.
And Morton Anderson, who is 0 for 3 on field goal attempts, hits the extra point. He has now scored in 240 consecutive games. Falcons finally on the scoreboard.
Cherokee and Wrangler.
Back in St. Louis, Tony Graziani throwing his first NFL touchdown pass in his 9th game. 1 yard to Brian Kozlowski. Short kickoff by Anderson, taken by Horn from the 8. Tony Horn cuts to the outside and runs into John Dale Clardy after a 21-yard return. Rams back to the offense after these messages. Welcome back to St. Louis, midway through the 3rd quarter, with the Rams leading by 3 touchdowns.
Well, they are playing with an inexperienced quarterback in Kurt Warner, but we said right from the beginning of the game, what better place to be than with these guys here, this lineup of receivers. Bruce Holt and Falk out of the backfield. Each one of these guys with a touchdown, getting wide open out in the open field and helping really diversify and empower this whole offense.
First down carry for Robert Holcomb, who scored the first touchdown of the game for the Rams.
You know, that's the other thing. I mean, you talk about diversity. Holcomb carrying the ball. Now, he's their fullback. He's carried it 6 times for 20 yards. Falk's carried it 12 times for 93 yards. The pass distribution has been amazing. I mean, Kurt Warner has used 7 receivers today. So Mike Marsh, again, the offensive coordinator, doing a nice job of spreading things around.
Warner on 2nd down hits Holcomb. His 2nd reception for a Rams first down, a gain of 14 yards.
And really, for a defense, it becomes a shell game. What do we defend now? Because if you load up on the wide receivers, Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, then you have to account for the tight end. If you account for the tight end, then you have to account for the running back. Falk's in blocking, and now they send the fullback out into the pass pattern.
Holcomb, a new starting fullback. They released Derek Harris last week. Harris was the starter last season. Marshall Falk. 2 more yards, so Falk now at 95 today.
You know, really, the Falcons' defense they've got to shore up. They've got to stop the Rams. And I think that the offense did a great job driving down Tony Graziani, scoring points, and giving this defense hope, telling this defense, all right, look, guys, we're going to do our part. We're going to be able to score some points, but you guys have got to make it happen. And Rich Brooks, the coordinator up top, again, having a tough time trying to figure out where the ball will go next.
On 2nd and 8, this is Falk. Down for the Falcons, 30. A gain of 23. Another Rams first down. Marshall Falk continuing his excellent play today.
Sometimes, Kenny, football comes down to one man beating another man, and we've seen a lot of that today, and most of those battles have been won by the St. Louis Rams. Here's the battle. Falk against Eugene Robinson. Robinson comes up. He's got to make that tackle, but Falk puts a nice move on him and springs for the first down.
Now the Rams send in 4 wide receivers. Ricky Kroll in motion. Warner can't find anyone. Takes off and is taken down by the combination of Lester Archambault and Chuck Smith.
I think that's the first time that we have seen Warner sacked today. Again, the offensive line doesn't do a bad job at all. He's not even sacked on this one because he did get 2 yards, but they don't do a bad job. They give Warner a lot of time. So there is probably the first time we've seen the Falcons secondary linebackers leave Kurt Warner without a target downfield to throw to.
Isaac Bruce in motion, 2nd down and 8. Here they come again. Warner dumps it off to Falk. Falk all the way down to the 9. He takes the miss.
Well, the Falcons D-line should have known something was up because not once today have 3 men come running free to Kurt Warner. This time they come running free. The reason is because it's a screen. Nice job blocking out front. Grudadoria gets a hit on Jesse Tuggle. And Marshall Falk has really shown the Marshall Falk that made him a Pro Bowler up in Indianapolis with the Colts. Look at this, 162 total yards today.
Holcomb down to the 6. Falk with the Colts last year led the NFL. He led the entire league in total yards from scrimmage.
The amazing thing about Falk is the Rams picked him up for a 2nd round and a 5th round draft choice. When I saw that happen, I was home up in upstate New York, and I'm thinking, oh, something must be wrong. Falk must be hurt or something. But nothing at all. There was a contract dispute. The Colts wanted to go another way. They knew they wanted to take Edgerrin James in the draft, and they just let him go.
2nd and goal. Holcomb wrapped up by Jesse Tuggle.
Yeah, Marshall Falk, an outstanding pickup for the Rams. We've seen today just how good he is. You said it last year, more total yards than anyone in football and the 6th highest total in league history.
And the Rams have another guy similar to Marshall Falk who is due to return from an injury in the next couple of weeks. His name is Amp Lee. Just adding to their weaponry.
Now all that again, Kenny. Pass play for sure.
Warner takes off. Touchdown!
How about that? I don't know who feels more foolish, me or the Falcons defense.
Well, you used to be a member of the Falcons defense.
Well, commiserate right along with them. Hey, when that happens, you know that everything is going right for the St. Louis Rams. They come out, they give an empty set. It's a total passing offense, passing play, no one in the backfield to run the ball except Kurt Warner, the quarterback.
His first career rushing touchdown. 35-7 Rams. Have scored more points today than they did in any game last year. The last time they scored 35 points, opening day 1997 against the Saints.
The best thing about the Rams last year was Isaac Bruce, and he wasn't playing because he was hurt. So you can see why this team has suddenly appeared offensively on the NFL map.
Winslow Oliver. Oliver taken down at the 35-yard line. Tony Graziani and the Falcons back to work when we return. Kenny Albert, Jim Green back in St. Louis, where the Rams, who won their opening game over the Ravens 2 weeks ago, lead the Falcons, the 0-2 Falcons, 35-7. Falcons from their own 35-yard line. Graziani with time, fires downfield, nearly picked off by Dexter McLeon. 2nd and 10 upcoming. Coming up next, many of you will see the Minnesota Vikings, who lost to the Falcons in the NFC Championship game last January, as they take on Ray Rhodes and the Green Bay Packers. That's coming up next, right here on Fox.
What a great battle that should be. Vikings really been the nemesis for the Green Bay Packers.
Randall Cunningham over 700 yards passing in the 2 games against the Packers last year. Graziani on 2nd down. And Dexter McLeon was all over Chris Callaway. No penalty flags. 3rd and 10.
This is a play where Chris Callaway just has to beat Dexter McLeon. McLeon gets a great jam on him, and Callaway has to just come back and attack the ball. Comes back and attacks the ball, but McLeon still has his hand right up in the midst of Callaway's arm.
Callaway replacing Tony Martin now with Miami. Graziani from the shotgun, steps up, takes off, taken down. Mike Jones, and Graziani stopped about a yard shy of the first down marker.
And again, you've got to think the Falcons are in 4-down territory. I mean, they have to just continue to march down and score if they're going to have any hope whatsoever of winning.
They were stopped in a similar situation in the first half. On 4th and 1, there is Chris Chandler. Removed from the game late 2nd quarter due to the injured hamstring.
Tony Graziani has done an admirable job. He's 8 of 12 right now for 76 yards and a touchdown.
3 wide receivers, 4th and 1. And Graziani's pass is broken up by Todd Light. He was looking for Terrence Mathis, and Light, who picked off Chandler earlier, got a piece of it.
We have seen Todd Light everywhere today. In the run game, in the passing game, and he comes up with a big play here to stifle the Falcons' offense again.
Afternoon for the Atlanta Falcons. They trail the Rams 35-7. And after the Rams stop Tony Graziani and the Falcons on 4th down, Rams take over on the Atlanta 44.
Well, Graziani has looked pretty good, but this young quarterback, Kurt Warner, has looked even better. An incredible day for him today.
And nice play by Chuck Smith to wrap up Marshall Faulk.
You have to know Chuck Smith has got a bad big toe. You know, the injury that's kept Deion Sanders out for so long. When you have a bad big toe, it's really hard to do just about anything. It's hard to run. It's certainly hard to push off on the line of scrimmage. And really, as a result of that injury, Chuck Smith has had a tough time so far this season.
Time winding down in this 3rd quarter, with the Rams leading the Falcons 35-7. Fox NFL Sunday continues after these words from your local Fox station. Kenny Albert with Tim Green, the Falcons, the surprise team in the NFL last year. Rams with a victory today, 2-0, with a huge win over the Falcons, with all of these offensive weapons.
Well, this is parity in the National Football League. You know, I talked to the 49ers head coach Steve Mariucci last week, and he said, hey, it is going to be a wild season in the NFL this year, and that's what we've seen so far. It has been absolutely wild. The Broncos have struggled. The Jets have struggled. The Falcons are still struggling.
Hakeem down to the 41. A gain of 7 on 2nd down. So it will be 3rd and 7. Well, for the latest NFL information right up to kickoff, make the Fox NFL Sunday pregame show your weekly pregame ritual with Terry, Howie, JB, and Chris for the most animated pregame show on television. Fox NFL Sunday, live from Dallas next week at noon Eastern.
And, you know, they are not only entertaining, which they are, they have better chemistry than any other pregame show. They also have the best information, and that's what I like. I like the football insight you get from those guys.
Warner rolling left, 3rd and 7. Fires downfield, and Isaac Bruce could not hang on.
And a nice defensive play by Ronnie Bradford. You have to give credit where credit is due. Isaac Bruce has owned this defensive backfield all day long, and Ronnie Bradford has a tough task here. He's got to cover Isaac Bruce. He puts 2 moves on him, 3 moves. Bradford recovers nicely and breaks it up.
So for only the 2nd time in the game, Rick Chooten will punt. Back at his own 45. Winslow Oliver in single safety. Good hang time. Oliver lets it bounce out of bounds and around the 15-yard line. Huge day for the St. Louis Rams. 3 second-quarter touchdowns. They lead the Atlanta Falcons 35-7. Falcons from their own 16 following the punt. As Graziani hands it off to Hanspard, who won the Doak Walker Award in '96 as the top running back in the nation out of Texas Tech. Hanspard gains a yard. Well, tonight it's Fox Season Premiere Sunday, starting with a shocking King of the Hill Emmy winner for Best Animated Series. Then it's a star-studded Simpsons adventure with Mel Gibson and the most epic Futurama ever, followed by special episodes of Family Guy and action, all tonight on Fox Season Premiere Sunday. 2nd and 9. Santiago shifting. Hanspard, big hole, 1st down. And for NFL game break, what's going on with the Jets and the Redskins, JB?
Well, Kenny and Tim, some good play calling on this drive by the Jets and nice maneuverability by Rick Mara culminated in that Curtis Martin touchdown, his first rushing touchdown of the season. Jets back on top by 1 in the 4th against Washington. Kenny and Tim.
So Washington not nearly as explosive as they were at Giant Stadium last week when they scored 50.
Looked like the Geese shifted to the other side of the formation.
And the Jets with a 1-point lead. Hanspard, Kevin Carter again.
Carter has really been a terror for this Falcons offensive line all day long. Here he is right here. He's working on Ephraim Salaam. Salaam lets him go to the inside, but Carter has the athleticism of a much smaller man, so he's able to make that tackle.
Carter won the Daniel Reeves Memorial Award as team MVP last year. Not Falcons coach Dan Reeves, but the former owner of the LA Rams, Dan Reeves. Graziani, wide open, Hanspard, 1 man to beat, Billy Jenkins, who makes the tackle inside the 40.
Hey, that was an outstanding tackle by Billy Jenkins. The Hanspard made the cut. Jenkins was able to somehow recover. Nice play again by Tony Graziani. He's got Hanspard coming out of the backfield here. He sees him open, makes a nice throw, lays it in there easily. Watch Jenkins. Look at that. There's the cut. Jenkins is able to spin around and save the touchdown. That is very, very tough to do.
34-yard pickup from Graziani to Hanspard. On 1st down, the play fake to Hanspard. Graziani chased by Wistrom. Incomplete. He was looking for the tight end, O.J. Santiago.
Kenny, the score is lopsided, and the total offensive yardage was lopsided. Now you see it flipping back in favor of the Falcons. But this here in the first half, 3:11 to 67, is just so hard to come back from.
Just over 11 minutes remaining. Falcons trailing by 4 touchdowns. 2nd and 10. Graziani to Santiago. Taken down at the 37 by Charlie Clemens, who had been all over the field for the Rams defense today.
Well, I think if nothing else for the Atlanta Falcons today, they found that Tony Graziani may be the adequate replacement that they need to step in for Chris Chandler, because despite the fact that they're losing, Graziani is 10 of 16, 112 yards and a touchdown. We've seen him make some nice throws and some nice decisions against the defense that really has nothing to lose.
3rd and 8, Graziani taken down. Todd Light. His second sack of the season.
This guy, Todd Light, he's just been everywhere today. Watch him come here on the blitz. He comes from the open side. No one there to block him. And he runs down Tony Graziani. Todd Light is a guy who's been around here for many years, and he's struggled with this organization. He's always been one of the better players. And if the Rams take off the way they have so far this season, he is going to be one of the main beneficiaries and end up in the Pro Bowl.
Todd Light is the senior Ram. Began his career in Los Angeles. Fair catch called for by Oz Hakim at the 12. 36-yard punt by Straczynski.
This picture is a reminder that our director, Peter Bleckner, who calls up these shots, will be in Los Angeles next week directing the halftime show, because our pregame show goes on the road to Dallas for the Dallas-Arizona game.
So Peter will join Joe Buck and Ron Pitts in the studio as they will bring us all of the highlights at halftime and postgame on Fox. The pregame show, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris live from Dallas. Third quarter of the Rams starting from their own 12-yard line. Marshall Faulk up to the 14. A gain of 2.
Tom Newton losing his helmet. Newton, along with the rest of the Rams offensive line, doing a really nice job today. Mike Grudadoria, the center. Adam Timmerman, the other guard. Fred Miller, the tackle. There's Miller. There's Timmerman from the Packers. Grudadoria, Newton, and then Orlando Pace, who really had his way with Chuck Smith today.
Tom Newton, like Kurt Warner, a former Amsterdam Admiral.
That NFL Europe. Good training ground.
2nd down and 8. The pitch back to Falk, looking to get him his 100 yards. He is now up to 96. Well, as we mentioned, King of the Hill premiering tonight on Fox. 3rd and 3 upcoming for the Rams, who lead 35-7 over Dan Reeves' Atlanta Falcons, who will drop to 0-3. 3 wide receivers. Warner with time, and the pass is caught by the tight end, Roman Williams, wide open at the 42, a gain of 23 yards.
It begins with protection. Kurt Warner again. Plenty of time on this play to go to his second receiver. He wants to throw to the wide receiver. Look at the pocket there that those guys give him. He wants to go to the wide receiver. He doesn't. He holds the ball. He finds the tight end open. And Kurt Warner has got to be feeling like this thing is almost easy.
On first down, Marshall Faulk over the 100-yard mark. Marshall Faulk down to the 11. And a penalty marker back around the 42. Penalty flag on the field.
Well, despite the fact that this play is going to be called back for holding, if you like offense, people are going to want to watch this Rams just for the offense, just for the different weapons that they have. You got a tight end in Roland Williams who can catch touchdown passes. You got Falk who can catch passes out of the backfield and make extraordinary runs.
Holding 45 offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
That's the former defensive end, Jeff Robinson, negating a 46-yard run by Falk.
It was a great run to watch, though. Let's take another look at it, shall we?
We shall.
Thank you. Look at the moves that Falk puts on here. He's got speed. He accelerates. There's one beautiful move. And then you like to just watch him work out there in open space. The way he twists and turns. Really exciting to watch.
So Falk back under 100 yards rushing for the day. Isaac Bruce in motion, 1st and 20. Warner to the outside. Bruce. And immediately by Buchanan. And it is ruled incomplete. Bruce could not hang on to it.
Well, Buchanan, as we said, he's man-to-man with Isaac Bruce most of the day. Bruce runs him off, makes him think it's speed. He breaks out of it. The ball's delivered there by Warner. But Ray Buchanan is able to hit Isaac Bruce hard enough to jar that ball loose.
Bruce had 2 huge games against Buchanan earlier in his career. One against Buchanan and the Colts. And then 2 years ago, 10 catches, 233 yards against Buchanan and the Falcons. Falk is back over the 100-yard mark as he gained 6 for Marshall Falk, his 15th career 100-yard game.
Well, right from the start, Kenny, we talked about the multiplicity of weapons that Kurt Warner has. Isaac Bruce, Terry Holt at the wide receiver position, Azazir Akeem, Ricky Prohl can come in, there's Akeem, and then Marshall Falk as a receiver out of the backfield.
Here's Warner on 3rd and long. Ricky Prohl could not hang on. Hit by former Ram Gerald McBurrows, so the Rams will have to punt it away.
No one can doubt Kurt Warner's accuracy throwing the football, because he has really been very accurate all day long, and in a lot of different passes, and deep passes, and short passes, and intermediate passes as well.
Winslow Oliver, the deep man. Rick Tootin from his own 24. Oliver from the 12. Oliver out of bounds at the 31-yard line. 19-yard return, just under 6 minutes remaining. 4th quarter, 35-7 Rams.
Day for the Falcons in St. Louis. Tough day for Ray Buchanan, the cornerback. Thrown at 5 times. Isaac Bruce with 3 catches, 68 yards, and the big one, the touchdown. Also, Buchanan scored on for another touchdown by Terry Holt, the rookie who ran past him early in the game.
The Falcons from their own 31, advance 5. Gains a yard up to the 32-yard line, brought down by London Fletcher. 2nd and 9 upcoming.
I think more than the disparagement towards Buchanan or the Falcons defense, really it's a compliment to the Rams and what they have on offense, the weapons that they have on offense. There's so much to cover. There's so many moving targets, and they're moving fast.
3 wide receivers. Graziani handed it off to Hanswide. Charlie Clemens made the stop. You know, you've talked, Tim, about Graziani and what he has done today, 10 of 16 with a touchdown pass. Danny Cannell replaced Graziani in Dallas on Monday, but Dan Reeves very emphatic this week. Graziani is still the number 2 ahead of Danny Cannell. And you wonder if we would see Cannell at all here in this 4th quarter just to get him some work. With the Falcons trailing by 4 touchdowns. Graziani rolling left. And the pass is caught. Nice throw. And Chris Callaway, the former Giant, pulls it in at the 48, a gain of 15. And the Falcons first down. Callaway's 50th consecutive game with a reception.
And Kenny, Dan Reeves was not only supportive of Graziani as his number 2 quarterback, he was adamant. I mean, he was actually got a little upset and said, hey, I'm making this decision based on how I feel. Here's Callaway working against the Rams, and there's the pass by Graziani. He's able to complete after rolling out. And that's one thing Graziani has as well, is mobility.
Now Graziani hits Mathis for another Falcons first down.
So one thing you do have to understand, and there's Danny Cannell, the third-string quarterback for the Falcons, along with the injured Chris Chandler. You do have to know now, though, that the Rams defense is a little bit going through the motions. They know they've got this game won. They know they've got it locked up, so they are not honed in the way they might be during more critical time of the game.
And you just saw Steve DeBerg, the Falcons quarterback coach, who came back to play last year. Graziani looking for Bob Christian. 4.5 to go. And there is DeBerg.
Well, certainly you could see Steve DeBerg's influence on the one touchdown the Falcons did have when Tony Graziani made a beautiful play fake to Byron Hanspard. Hanspard leaped up. Graziani did that classic DeBerg tuck down over the ball, and then Graziani delivered the nice little dump pass to Kozlowski in the end zone for the Falcons' only touchdown.
2nd and 10 from the Rams 38. Graziani sidesteps a couple of Rams and connects with Callaway once again. A gain of 6 to the St. Louis 33 as the clock continues to run. A reminder coming up on Fox, some of you will see Randy Moss and the Minnesota Vikings as they travel to Green Bay, and others will watch the Chicago Bears and the Oakland Raiders. That's coming up next on Fox NFL Sunday. Thanks for joining us today from St. Louis, where the Rams in a rout led 28-0 at the half, and now lead 35-7. Graziani out of the shotgun, and penalty markers.
Probably be against the Falcons.
False start, 70 offense, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
Whitfield, the left tackle.
Same man we saw in a little entanglement with Troy Pelshak.
Paul Justin warming up on the sidelines. He was brought in as the backup following the Trent Green injury suffered against San Diego during the preseason. Justin also out of the NFL Europe, formerly the World League. Graziani to Hanspard, forced out of bounds by Mike Jones after a pickup of 6. And another penalty marker, some more extracurricular activity. A frustrating afternoon for the defending NFC
Whitfield
champs.
may be asked to lead the game. And that we'll absolutely discuss. Dan Reeves, again, we talked about how the problems that the Falcons have had this season with turnovers, with penalties, things very uncharacteristic of them last season.
Here's Ron Blum.
Illegal hands to the face, 70 offense. Unsportsmanlike or unnecessary roughness, number 70. He's disqualified. Both fouls are enforced.
So Whitfield's day is over.
Whitfield right here, sign of the frustration. There's the hand to the face there. And throw down there. And then a hit after the play.
Whitfield says, welcome to the NFL. Troy Pelshak, the rookie.
The referee throws the flag on the hands of the face, and then the hat, which is his backup flag, for the unsportsmanlike conduct. And I think that's what you have to do as a referee. You have to take control and not let a football game degenerate into Donnybrook.
So as Whitfield slowly walks towards the tunnel leading to the Falcons locker room. Ron Blum enforces both penalties. Dan Reeves just wants the game to end at this point.
Well, Dick Vermeil has got to feel like he has really reached a milestone with this game. The record in the NFC West has been 3-13. Last year it was 0-8. Falcons, of course, last year's NFC champions coming into this game. I don't think Dick Vermeil knew. I think he knew what he had on offense. I think he knew that he had the potential to have a very potent offense. But could he bring it together and could it execute against a very powerful, or what was a powerful Falcons defense? Powerful, hustling defense, played with a lot of intensity. And his guys have answered today remarkably well. And I think it's interesting, too, that Dick Vermeil has changed a little bit of his philosophy. Now, they still work hard, but he had some pads. He's had some padless practices in training camp, which is very unlike him. And also what they did with Isaac Bruce. I mean, treating Isaac Bruce a little bit differently, having Al Sanders have a regimen for his practice schedule. You know, if it's 17 plays he gets to run, that's it. Mike Martz told us yesterday, you know, sometimes I say to Al, well, how about just one more with Isaac? And Al is adamant, no. You know, we're going to let him run only so many plays. We are going to guard his hamstring that bothered him all last year. There's Al Sanders right there. And a remarkable job that he's done. Saunders convincing not only Dick Vermeil, but convincing Isaac Bruce himself to say, look, we're going to have to operate with you a little differently than other players. You are too valuable, but you're of no value to us when you're in the hot tub or the training room.
And when we spoke with Chris Chandler yesterday, he said, you know, I played with Isaac Bruce with the Rams back in L.A., and I heard about all these hamstring injuries, and I could not understand. I never had one myself. I could not understand why they kept a player out for so long. Chandler said, now I understand.
Yeah, well, it's one of those injuries that you can't measure. I mean, a broken bone, you slap the X-ray up, and there's the break, and it's a broken bone, and you know what it is. But a pulled hamstring, which is essential to the game of football, because without it you really can't run, is a kind of injury that can pester you for not only several weeks but an entire season if you don't take the time and the care to get it back and to get it healthy.
As the officials decide where exactly to spot the ball, we want to thank our crew for the job they've done today here in St. Louis. Producer Rich Russo, director Peter Bleckner. The pregame show produced by Scott Ackerson.
Was complete out of bounds at the 32-yard line. The 15-yard penalty will be marked off from the dead ball spot, which is the 32-yard line, not the previous spot. Fourth down.
And the pregame show directed by Bob Levy. Thanks also to technical producer Kevin McRobey, associate director Marcy Kepner, and broadcast associate Robert Slosby. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports, Ed Gorin and David Hill. Thanks also to Barry Hockhauser, Ben Bova, Mike Eldridge, and Mark Cole.
And Ryan Panitz, our stage director today.
As always, here in St. Louis, Graziani on fourth down. The pass is short, intended for Ronnie Harris. So the Rams will take over on downs as quarterback Paul Justin will come in for his first action of the 1999 regular season. Former Chicago Bear, Indianapolis Colt, Cincinnati Bengal. He was in camp with the Raiders this year. MVP of the World Bowl with Frankfurt back in 1995. And Justin hands it off. First carry of the game, second carry of the season for the rookie out of San Diego State, Justin Watson, who led the Rams in rushing during the preseason. Handshakes all around on the St. Louis sidelines.
Well, it has got to be incredible feeling for this team to not only get their second win, to be 2-0, to be atop the NFC West, but to beat the Falcons. I mean, after losing so many times to Atlanta, the last 4 in a row, going 0-8 in this division last season, to step out and in only the second game of the season, not only beat the Falcons, but dominate.
Nice run by Watson, who picks up the first down. And when you look at the Rams' schedule, they will play only 3 more games this year against teams who finished with winning records a year ago. 1 more with the Falcons, and 2 games against the 49ers, who have beaten the Rams 17 straight times.
Here are the Rams' next 5 games. As you said, not a lot of tough teams on that schedule. Cincinnati, the 49ers, that'll be tough. The Falcons reeling the loss of Jamal Anderson, the injury to Chris Chandler.
Here's Watson, cutting to his left, chased down by Keith Brooking, and that will take us to the 2-minute warning from St. Louis, where the Rams will make it 2-0 on this young NFL season. The tale of 2 quarterbacks. Chris Chandler knocked out in the second quarter. Kurt Warner, 3 touchdown passes via the air, 1 on the ground. Warner 275 yards as the Rams will make it 2-0. Detroit is losing to Kansas City 24-13, so should the Chiefs hang on, the Rams and Dallas will be the only undefeated teams in the NFC. Cowboys off this week, also 2-0.
And for the Rams, as long as they can continue to do what they did today, and Warner plays as well as he has, and he's got these receivers. There's Torrey Holt right there, the rookie. Roland Williams, the tight end. They can continue to operate, throw to different receivers, and run Falk and run Holcomb. They're going to give people some problems, because the other thing is they're going to gain momentum as the season goes on. Just like the Falcons did last year when they won the NFC.
Watson thrown out of bounds by Brooking.
So if you remember, the Falcons last year began the game barely beating the Carolina Panthers. Very close game. They won in the last seconds, and they won some close games early, and they continued to win, and they won close games, but they built their momentum and they built their confidence as the season went on. Were ultimately able to beat the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, and probably the best football game I've seen in the last 10 years. So a good lesson on what momentum can do, and if you can stay healthy and keep your offensive firepower intact.
And the Rams, as Watson finds another hole, the Rams, a franchise that has lost more games than they have won for 9 consecutive seasons since moving to St. Louis in '95. They went 7-9 that first year under Rich Brooks. So they won 7, then 6, then 5, then 4. So the number of wins has decreased all 4 years here in St. Louis.
Well, this team has really been remade by Dick Vermeil. There are very few guys left from when he first got here several years ago. Only 8 players remain from when he first took over the job. So he's got guys that are in tune with his system. They're willing to work hard. But I think he's changed as well. I think he has changed some of his philosophies, and that's enabled this team to come together.
Rams go for it on 4th down and are stopped. So with 1:04 remaining, Falcons with one more offensive series, and the Rams hearing it from the crowd. Here in St. Louis, they won their home opener 27-10 over Baltimore, and they lead today 35-7. Just over 1 minute remaining for the Rams. This will be their biggest margin of victory since defeating these same Falcons 59-16 back in November of '96. And it will also be the first time the Rams win 3 straight home games since moving to the Trans World Dome. 1 last year and their first 2 this season. 1:04 to go. Graziani keeps it on the ground. Ken Oxendine, the second-year running back out of Virginia Tech. His first carry of the game. Oxendine was inactive the first 2. Up next for Dan Reeves and the Falcons, they will host the Baltimore Ravens next week at the Georgia Dome. Now the big question, of course, will Chris Chandler be okay? Will Chandler start?
But I think he goes beyond will he be okay, but will he be okay and effective? Because today he was okay enough to play, but he was not okay enough to be effective.
And for the Rams next week, a trip to Cincinnati. Dive, and that will do it. Standing ovation from the sellout crowd here in St. Louis as the Rams scored 3 second-quarter touchdowns, 3 second-quarter touchdown passes by Kurt Warner, and they defeat Dan Reeves' Atlanta Falcons by the score of 35-7. Kenny Albert, Jim Green saying so long from St. Louis. Right now, as part of our Visa game break, we are going to take you to bonus coverage of the Rams.